So tell us a bit about Studio Ashby.
Are we on now?
Well, we've been on.
Oh, right. Okay. I was waiting for the...
Go.
Tell you a bit about Studio Ashby.
So I obviously know what you do, but for people that don't know what you do, what do you do?
I'm an interior designer. I have a firm called Studio Ashby. We work on projects all over the world. We work mainly on private homes and 5-star hotels. That's kind of our little niche.
Lovely.
Which is a lot of fun. And yeah, I've got a team. We're based in St James's Park, Victoria, in this lovely old building. And we've been going 11 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we're about 34 people at the moment.
Okay, sir.
And I started another business called Sister 5 years ago, which is a retail business. Furniture, fabrics, rugs, art, lighting. That's a lot of fun too.
And is that I haven't been to your building, but it looks, and it's really bad behaviour. It looks amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah, it's the National Trust is our landlord.
Wow.
It's grade 1 listed.
Wow.
We're kind of bursting at the seams.
Aye.
But I don't want to ever move because I don't think it gets better.
So
we'll just squish everyone in.
So when you look at the building, that entire thing that's your room.
Yeah.
And so you've got all your furniture and art and everything you're selling in there.
Yeah.
And you're working amongst it.
Yeah. We've sort of split it with some bookcases down the middle. And we've got the studio and the desks on one side and the showroom on the other side.
Fun.
Yeah, it's really great.
And your clients come in as well?
Yeah, we do everything we can to get our clients to come in. And they are suitably impressed when they walk into that room. And then we take them down into the dungeon meeting room. Yeah. Yeah. It's an amazing thing to have your own front door and what I always wanted was to be able to affect the whole experience of my studio in the way that you can in like a hotel. So what it smells like, what music's playing, the vibe, the atmosphere, the temperature, the type of biscuit we serve, the teacup, as well as all the furniture in the room.
Fun.
Yeah.
Looking at all of your work, or looking at the work I've seen of yours, it looks very bespoke, and I love the colour and it feels very different from a lot of other interior designers' work. How much work do you do with the client and how much of it is your inspiration?
Good question. Hard to explain. I think ultimately there is this red thread that runs through, which comes from me, which is the colour, the emphasis and importance on the art, the eclecticism of mixing vintage and antique pieces with newer pieces. I like to think there's a kind of freshness and a soulfulness to everything that we do, whether we're lurching from a kind of Cotswolds cottage to a penthouse in London. And I think, we've got our own look and people kind of come to us for that. I find it hard to explain what that is. And sometimes
I think freshness is...
Yeah,
it is fresh.
Yeah, and I think that's my South African half of me. And I always talk about it as this desperate urge to open a window and let the light in and the air in and that kind of connection to outside, which is not a very British thing.
No, it's not.
Like every room I really wanted to open the window when I walked in here, and then I thought, you need the sound to be like kept out to shut up. But yeah, I just kind of need to feel like I can see what's outside and connected to it.
Yeah. And your clients, so most of them come to you wanting you to achieve that for them.
We ask all these very probing, intimate questions at the beginning of a project. So we have our first, after an initial meeting or consultation and going to site, and it's all kind of going in the right direction and we've been appointed, we then do this questionnaire, which is about 40 questions that we tailor to each project and client. And we ask, if it's a couple, we ask them to answer the questions separately.
Marriage counselling as well.
Exactly. Marriage counselling is the other hat I wear most of the time. And they're very intimate, probing questions. We're trying to get to the root of who they are and what they love and what makes them feel good and what uplifts them, and, what stories can we tell with the interiors that connect them to their childhood, or where they're from, or where they grew up, or their family unit. And it's the clients that you think, this person is extremely busy. They do not have time to answer 40 questions on a Google Doc. And you get paragraphs of text.
Really?
And it's just so wonderful. And then the challenge is to download all of that information from two different people and turn it into something creative and inspiring. The point we're at now with the studio, which is so wonderful, which is that we have more incoming inquiries than we could possibly deal with, or do rather. And so when we meet the clients, I'm sitting there listening to what they want to create and the home and where it is and the architecture and all of that. But really, I'm sitting there thinking, are you going to be nice to hang out with for the next kind of 3 years? Because that's the average length of a project. I mean, we just finished a project in Canada that's been 5 years. We just finished one in the Cotswolds that's been 6 years. So it's a really, really long journey. And it's out of all the professional team that it takes to get from purchasing a house to moving into it, having redesigned the whole thing. The interior designer and client relationship is by far the most intimate. And, I feel strongly that what I'm doing as my profession is a great joy and privilege, but I am saving nobody's life. It is a just interior design. So for the love of God, let's enjoy the process. Like, if I'm not enjoying my job, something has gone horribly wrong.
Is there a project out there that you haven't done yet that you would love to do?
Lots. The top of the list dream has always been a safari lodge.
Okay.
Because that is my favourite thing on earth to do. Growing up in South Africa and my mum being from Cape Town, we did it a lot growing up, and it's just my absolute happy place, and I would love to do safari lodge. It's just good for the soul. Like, it's such a sort of strange pastime to sit on the back of a Land Rover and rattle around for like 4 hours staring at the bush looking for life and movement. But once you've done it a few times and you've been lucky enough to see some really amazing game, it kind of graduates beyond being about trying to find a cheetah or a lion or a leopard or whatever. It's just, for me, it's like a meditation.
Yeah.
It's just sort of staring at the landscape and the light and the colours, and I just find it really inspiring on the level of just being in such beautiful nature, but also just to be with your own thoughts for hours at a time in silence with your loved ones, and then great snacks along the way. It's just like, this is great.
This is great.
Yeah.
So tell us about how you started Studio Ashby.
I started Studio Ashby at the ripe old age of 25. I knew nothing at all about running a business. But to be fair, I just didn't even really think that that's what I was doing. So knew I wanted to be an interior designer, had done a course and an internship over a summer in New York, which solidified completely in my mind that that's what I wanted to do. And I got a job, my first job as an intern, or rather assistant, for a friend's mother who was an interior designer, Victoria Fairfax. She was more traditional classic style, so it was really, really a great way to begin learning about that level of detail. And then I went to work for a kind of startup, and they were a really small team, and so I just had so much responsibility. It was a fantastic place to just flex my kind of creativity. We almost exclusively did show apartments for developers, which is a really great way, or it was for me anyway, of just getting into it, because you've got kind of creative freedom.
Yeah.
Once you you've sold your ideas into someone. The only thing they're interested in is that it happens on time and on budget. And then eventually a friend of a friend kind of walked into the studio about dressing a house that he was doing as a development and said, we'd love to work with you guys. And I took the project to my boss, who said, this is not really the right kind of project. It's very low budget. And I was devastated. Effectively, he said no. And I thought that was just an outrageous response at the time. Now, I'm like, totally fair enough and reasonable. You were running a business. You've got to take on the right kind of project. But the client said to me that if you were on your own, I would give this to you as your first kind of project. I think you're great, kind of thing. And the design fee was a few £1,000s more than my annual salary. That is as simple as it was. But I had nothing to lose. I was living with a friend, renting her spare room. I was single. I had obviously no mortgage. I just had absolutely nothing to lose. And this client is now one of my best friends. And I gave it my absolute all. And it was successful in that people liked it and it sold really quickly for a good price. But yeah, within a few months basically of me kind of going out on my own, as it were, a few of the other developer clients and estate agents that I had known got in touch and put me forward for things, and it all just happened very organically. So after about a year, I think I had an intern, and I was just working from home and in cafes and things. But I never had a business plan. I never had any money. I never had any investment. I just never had a plan. I just kind of kept going.
The creative side and the business side, are they different sides of the brain? Do you find those can work well together? Do you find there's a conflict between them?
No, I think for me, it's the same thing, because I can't, I find it very difficult. I have like a very visual memory. I'm not good at maths, but I have a good gut instinct and feel for things. And I can just about read a P&L and just about kind of spot the patterns and spot the oddities. But I feel like everything about what I'm doing is being sort of creatively strategic. That is like,
I think there are a lot of people that maybe don't, I don't know, maybe there's this preconception that business is all about maths.
Yeah, exactly. It's really not.
No, I mean, we both studied history of art.
Yeah.
Maths I was absolutely terrible at.
Terrible maths. But you can hire people, obviously, who are fantastic at maths. So that's what I've done. And for me, it's at this point, I just need to know that we are going in the right direction. Started Sister, the furniture business, 5 years ago. I started a charity 5 years ago. So there are these other things which take my time and attention, but I love it because it's, especially in the nascent stages, they're in the strategic, like, how should we do this? What are we? What are we doing? Where are we going? I really enjoy it.
Fun. Well, I'll ask you one more question.
Okay.
For someone starting out in your industry, is there any advice that you would want to give that person?
I would give them the advice, which is not the advice that I took, which is work for a studio for longer than 5 minutes. There's a lot to learn, and nothing prepares you better than, seeing through complicated long projects and building your network and all of that. So a lot of people say to me, oh my God, you were only 25 when you started your business. How did you do that? And I can see that they're thinking, I want to do that. And I get that. But then at the same time, I'm not sure it's for everybody. Like there's a lot to figure out, and you have to be tough and brave. And it just takes a special sort of energy and determination, I think. And I'm not saying that I've got that and everyone else doesn't, but it's not easy. I think it might have been easier if I'd had a few more years in the game. So,
as you said, you've got a long time ahead of you.
Exactly. It's a long career. Like, what's the hurry?
Well, I like that. I mean, we've spoken about the sort of dream projects, and there are tons of them.
Yeah.
But you don't want to have them all in one go.
Yeah.
So it's. I think that really illustrates how much you love what you do. That you want to. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
And there's a long time ahead of you to keep learning, and
victory. Yeah.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's been so nice taking one of our chats
Pub-
on camera. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.